Hello everyone, my name is Uche Chuta and we'll be moderating the program today, and it's just Tuesday. I have with me two gentlemen, on my right Ario and on my left Kene. So Ario, feel free to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you very much, my dear moderator. My name is Ario Daria Toye. I'm a political missionary from Ekiti State, and I'm here on this program just to contribute my own quota.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Iken Naregbe. I'm here again. I'm glad to be again on this platform. Thank you very much.
Can I know you're in any political missionary or anything?
No. I just stay in the shadows.
I see. Interesting. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing the letter which Obasanjo wrote. That's what everyone in Nigeria is talking about. And we're also going to talk about it in relationship to the third force. We keep on hearing the third option. Some other people say a third party or something. I mean, you have cases that they're giving red card to PDP, red card to APC. And if you're giving red card to PDP and APC, then who is remaining? You know, so there's a third force. And Obasanjo has come up with this letter, and there's some talk around that he's actually supporting this third force. So that's what we're going to talk about. So Ario, what do you think about this?
Yeah, basically, I think people have said different things about Obasanjo's letter, but I believe that Obasanjo has his own reason for writing it, and he has made that very clear. From my own point of view, I think it's a good one. It's a good one simply because Obasanjo supported the current government to power, and we actually warned then that it was a bad choice, and it's good that the chicken has now come home to roost. That's exactly how I'm going to describe it. And it's also good simply because what people have not seen is the fact that the international community is going to rely on a major personality for them to be able to dissect what is actually happening in this country. And for somebody like Obasanjo, who is actually the president of ex-president, probably in Africa, even in the world, and for him to have been able to make a kind of an informed verdict on the current administration, I think that is good for us as a nation, because we're all trying to have a common ground in terms of rescuing this nation from bad governance that we've witnessed in the last 3 years. So from my own point of view, I think the letter is a welcome development, even though I didn't agree with everything in that letter, to the extent that I feel that the president should have also do something in terms of advising properly how people should go about this third force thing. You can't just wake up and dismiss the PDP and the APC, because in the end, when we're talking about democracy, the vehicle for driving democracy is still the political parties. And since we don't have a third alternative in time, well, I know we have a lot of political parties, but there is nothing bad in Nigeria having a third force and even having another third political party. I mean, a political party becoming very strong and also giving PDP and APC a run for their money. There is nothing bad in that, but it shouldn't be at the expense of the other two political parties. What I think we can do is to encourage all the political parties for them to present their best. We have good people in APC, good people in PDP, good people in different other political parties. Then far beyond that, we also need to agree on certain things to do to move this country forward, even beyond the political parties, such that people are talking about restructuring, talking about how to create the space for good people to emerge. And also, let's not forget that in PDP, just like I said, we have guys who have what it takes. In APC, let me tell you that there are good guys among some of the ministers today in the APC government, but simply because they don't have that connect with the president, they have no access to the president, it's difficult for them to actually function properly. But it's to their own fault one way or the other. So I believe that the third force thing that people have been saying, we shouldn't dismiss it. We should allow it to one way or the other come on board. Let us see what they have for Nigerians. We shouldn't dismiss it totally. There are a lot of things to benefit. But I think I've at least been privy to one or two things some of them are doing. And also wish to alert Nigerians that there are also about three kind of third forces that are coming together. One, the one that Obasanjo is talking about. Two, there is another one coming on board that is a force of some politicians, some of them PDP, APC, because the one Obasanjo is talking about is actually populated more by ex-activists, union leaders, and I've seen the composition of them, you know, more of those who are not politically aligned, you know, structurally. Then there is one that it's a pure core politicians coming together. Then there is another one that actually a governor in probably in the Northwest is actually trying to sponsor underneath in order to disrupt votes in the southern part of the country. I will expatiate further on that later.
Okay. Can I?
Well, basically, Obasanjo is the former president, so he has a right, like every other Nigerian, to write a letter or speak his own observations. I mean, he has the pedigree and experience, having ruled us for 8 years, ruled us as a military administrator. But my problem is, about 4 years ago, the former president tore his party card and said he was not going to participate in partisan politics. That he's now a full-fledged theologian and working with the UN to save the world from hunger. According to me, I find it very, very disturbing that he's coming at this time to write a letter to the former president, to the president, who he supported hands down during the 2015 elections. I don't believe that politicians are very altruistic in nature. I don't think he's doing it out of his love for Nigeria. I think he should just stay in the shadows and just maybe continue his UN work. That aside, the contents of the letter has remained very, very valid. I mean, this is what everybody has been complaining about: nepotism, insecurity. Everything Obasanjo wrote in that letter is what every Nigerian, including Aristotle, has been complaining about. But nothing was done. But now it's Obasanjo. Everybody is now interested in it. So, but I'll still go back to certain parts of the letter that I have a personal issue with, and that's the issue of nepotism. The president gave an example of MENA, the coalition in MENA. I'm going to talk about the current DG of NIA. Right from 1990, when Ambassador Z.Y. Ibrahim was made the DG, every other person has been an ambassador, right to the last Ambassador Ayoke that was sacked. This new DG doesn't have the pedigree. He never became an ambassador, never grew up to become a director. So how do you make somebody that has no pedigree? It is even rumored that he failed his promotion exams, which I know is a rule because I worked in that circle for a long time, for a while, and you make him the DG because he's actually close to the president. That is very, very ridiculous. You have killed the morale of the officers in the NIA. You have said that hard work and honesty and competence doesn't count anymore. It is just somebody who knows how to translate French and Arabic for the president that can become the DG. It's never been done that the two most important agencies in Nigeria for internal and external security are headed by people from one state. The optics don't look nice. The DG of DSS is from Katsina, the same local government to the president. The DG of NIA is from Katsina, and the president is from Katsina. I mean, it's a very good example of what the former president is talking about. We all know that during his time, the former president tried to be very, very detribalized. He was a bit lenient with his appointments, and his appointment had a very, very good geographical spread. So those are the things that we have been talking about. I'm particular about this case because I worked in that circle for a while, so I know how the morale of every other person will feel. To the issue of the Fulani herdsmen, the president hasn't come out to show leadership. He has failed totally in that regards. So why I also support the former president is that the current president should not recontest. I mean, I look at leaders in three ways. A leader must show leadership, inspire confidence, and earn loyalty. I mean, has the current president shown leadership? No, he has not shown leadership in anything. Nothing he has done so far has been has been above average. Maybe just average and below. Has he earned your confidence? Can you wake up one and say if the president is speaking, he actually knows what he's talking about? He basically doesn't know what he's talking about most of the time. Has he earned my loyalty? No, but maybe he has earned the loyalty of a few of his kinsmen, which is the Fulani headsmen. Sorry to say that. So, President Obasanjo has a right to criticize, and of course his criticism is going to go very, very far. Then the issue of the third force, I mean, I don't know what to say about it. I think it's coming at this time is a bit late. I think it's a distraction. Everybody should just focus and go back to the mainstream political parties. Why do I say that? Because we all know that politics is a game of numbers. I mean, you ran an election, so you know what? You should understand that part, convincing people to wake up and vote for a new force. So what I want people to do is that let's go back and strengthen the parties. If you want good candidates, let the good candidates come out from those parties, because there's no time to spend convincing people to vote a different party. That's what I believe, that you should go back, strengthen the parties existing, go into them. I mean, you can't change the system if you don't join the system. Politics is a game of numbers. How many of the people proposing the third force have ever held a political position or contested? That's what I'm interested in. If you feel you're so popular and you are great, go to your wards, go to your local governments, go to your senatorial zones, go and test how popular you are. Those are where the issues are. You can't compete with a typical politician because he understands the yearnings of his people. So that's this way I don't subscribe to the issue of third force. I believe the third force is a good idea, but coming now to disrupt the whole system is an uphill tax.
That's right. That's why. So, a question just throw out: why hasn't PDP and APC made any genuine plans to reform themselves?
Well, let me.
It's like they don't see the need, or they just feel so arrogant that there's no need, because they're going to return the same candidates. For example, this man in Kogi State, most likely he's going to get a second. He's going to have a return ticket. APC doesn't see anything bad in him. Same thing with some other governors in different places and all that, in both PDP and APC. So, that's why people are tired. Because are the parties demonstrating anything showing that we want to differentiate ourselves? That's why a third force can come up and people will listen to them.
Yeah, I quite agree with you that considerably the existing political parties have not done much in terms of inspiring Nigerians or even creating that kind of alternative to whatever is in existence now. For instance, I recall vividly that the day I started having my doubts in the anti-corruption crusade of the current government was when I started observing that President Buhari started vacillating over his anti-corruption, was when he allowed people under corruption trial to emerge as the candidate of the APC in Kogi and in Bayelsa. So that was the first. When I saw that and I saw the body language of the party and the president, I said, no, I don't think they will be able to pursue this anti-corruption crusade altruistically. But I think coming back to the issue of PDP, APC, I can say reasonably, except the fact that maybe the issue of the person who emerged as chairman of the PDP, probably maybe people were trying to have issue about that. I think the PDP went through certain processes. They did a lot of meetings, tried to tinker with their constitution, had a lot of meetings. Why did we fail? Why did we do certain things? Why is it that we didn't get certain things right? They did a lot of that, and they had loads of documents, to that effect. Well, if they have actually learned anything from that, I think that will pan out towards the 2019 election. Believe me sincerely, I'm not going to blame the former president for suggesting a third force. I myself, in 2017, January 1, 2000, I wrote an open letter to President Buhari, and I don't think what Obasanjo just said is different from what I actually marshaled out in my letter. On January 1st, 2018, I also wrote another letter. So consistently, I've been writing letter to the president, setting the tone on January 1 of every year. And I made it very clear that the president has become Health Nkumba in 2017. And in 2018, I said, embrace the Mandela option and preside over a great transition program that we see a new leader, emerging for us as a nation. So for me, I believe that the existing political parties have not done enough, but they still have got time. This idea of third force will also, one way or the other, support them to get it right. PDP has an opportunity, and some other political parties, to throw up different candidates, and some of them, so that they'll be able to choose the one that they think Nigerians will be able to vote for. APC will be limited if President Buhari is still going, but I think the party leaders, one way or the other, prevail on him so that they can have some young guys, also contesting within the APC, for Nigerians to make their option, because I don't think the president actually has the presence of mind to be able to rule this country in a way that will bring about good governance. It's a very clear thing. When you see the contradictions in the government of the APC, the president himself is saying a no to restructuring. Now that there is a committee led by El-Rufai, Governor Kaduna State, who are also coming on board with restructuring. I remember also that was the same thing they did ahead of 2015 election, when they came out with My Covenant with Nigerian, 100-day things Buhari will do in 100 days, all sort of documents, which they didn't deny until after they had won the election, that the president said, no, I never said all those things. I only committed myself to security, economy, and anti-corruption. And now again, the president made it very clear on New Year Day that, look, I believe more in the process, even though he didn't explain to us what the implication of a process means in this whole argument. He only said that at least restructuring was a no-no. So now that the party realized that, because if you're going to win 2019 election, and you want to get good votes on the southern part of this country, you're still going to talk about restructuring one way or the other. That's what the people want to hear. And those ones that have the presence and they know that there is possibility that APC is going to lose this election, now they are trying to come up with that. But you cannot present a candidate Buhari if you really want to win votes in the south and say you want to talk about restructuring. And I believe that this is one decision for Nigerians to make, to see through, because I don't think they should be able to hoodwink cajole Nigerians, for the second time within the space of 4 years. So basically, these are part of the concerns where you also have to look at the marginal issue here, that why some people are talking about a third force. And if third force is going to be about something like an orange coalition, you cannot dismiss it that 1 year is too late. Let's not dismiss it. If you're able to pull people together and you have experienced politicians, a few of them coming together. And there is one very important argument I was having with a friend of mine before we got there. The number of people that voted in the last election was about 30 million. Now the registered voters was about 65 million, and now it has increased to about 74, 75 million. Now we're talking about that we have 50 million Nigerians, about 50 million Nigerians who can vote and swing election either way. So it means that if based within this age of technology and social media, it means that a third force can pull together a big coalition, and if you're able to get your target right, you can, one way or the other, this election may just be won by 15 million votes again, or 16 million votes. And we're talking about that, we're talking about with the age of technology, we're talking about a coalition that can come together one way or the other. And again, there are certain things that we're also not looking at. If we succeed the way, if the National Assembly succeeds in this current amendment to the Electoral Act, you're going to have the National Assembly election first, you're going to have the governorship and House of Assembly election, in that order, then lastly, you are going to be on your own for presidential election. And I love that. Whoever is going to win the presidential election is going to win it on his own merit. And that is one thing that, if you this order of election, if a third force that is serious and able to marshal enough coalition, or a kind of orange coalition, they can spring a surprise, because it's going to be something that will be done independently. So even those who voted for APC, PDP in National Assembly, in governorship, can decide to go and vote for a neutral person simply because they say, look, this is about the fate of Nigeria. We like this person, and this person we want to vote for to be able to do things differently. So we can't dismiss it. And the only thing that this has given the political parties enough opportunity for them to do some internal homework, go back to the drawing board and see how they can throw up the candidate that will speak to issues. Because 2019 is not going to be somebody that is going to be about what we witnessed in 2015, where some people were hiding their presidential candidate. It's going to be about people who can speak to issues. It's not just going to be regional issues, it's also going to be state-by-state issue. You're going to go and campaign in North Central, you're going to tell them how you're going to solve the herdsmen farmer problem. You're going to Southwest, you're going to talk about restructuring, you're going to talk about issue of state police. Are you committed to that? And probably people are going to hold you to your promise. So it's not going to be something that is going to be that easy. And I can tell you that those ones who are going to be coming on the platform of a third force or any coalition, they will be so ready, believe me sincerely, to answer some of these questions. If they cannot answer it, which means that they're also not ready. But I'm sure that 2019 has presented itself its own different opportunities for people to actually go into it address problems. And I can tell you that there's not going to be an escape route for anybody who wants to vacillate or who wants to pretend about anything. That's one of the reasons why I believe that for APC to present the current president is going to be a massive dip for them, simply because this is the first time we're not having a president who is not even committed to do what we call a kind of presidential explain, this public media chat, having an interaction with the people. I think the president has only done it once. We are talking about a president who is not ready to talk to Nigerians. We're talking about a president who has traveled to about over 30 countries and who has not visited, 15 countries in Nigeria, 15 states in Nigeria. So we're talking about, these are some of these things that are going to place. And I don't think at that point he's going to have that energy to be able to go around 36 state campaigning. But that's for APC. If they like, they can commit the political hierarchy by trying to gamble with the process. But we shouldn't dismiss the third force. And I believe that the other political parties have something to learn from it. And also, we young ones, I think it's going to open the space for us. But if the third force is going to be really serious, they should let us start from Ekiti State. I am here for them, for a grab to contest as a governorship candidate in Ekiti State. If you want to have me, I'm so much available, come and support me. I can win an election in Ekiti State if I'm well supported, yeah. Because I got the ideas, I got what it takes to be a governor in Ekiti State. I have a better solution, better alternatives to whatever all the candidates the aspirants have had saying one or two things about the state. So we can have this conversation. So Ekiti State and Osun State both present opportunity for the third force to be able to even test water. So let's start from there.
Personally, I don't believe that the party system is actually the problem, because in the party system, it's the people that make the party. When people talk about APC and PDP, they tend to describe them as ghosts. It is the people in the party that make the system. So if you have the right people in the party, you actually get the right movement, you get the right policies. I also always want to go back to the beginning, in the sense that I remember when I was little, I think it's the Bible scripture that says, do not forget the days of your humble beginnings. So I look at the proponents of this third force and I laugh, and I said, because all of you became popular because of political parties. You cannot wake up and sit down and say that they are no longer, they've deviated. We all know that Nigeria has had a party problem since the turn of the new democracy. So that's what I look at. If you say that you're giving a red card to the PDP and APC, yes, everybody has a right to criticize, but you also have to go back and say, these parties actually made me popular. So this is where I disagree with the former president. You tore your party card, and this is a party that made you the president for 8 years. I remember then, as I just got out of school, and it was a big thing that they were doing the PDP primaries in 19. It was in Jos, right? Yeah. And I remember that my uncles were going to Jos, following Chisco, and they were ready to vote for Alex Ekweme. But eventually, President Obasanjo won the primaries. So imagine the sacrifice that people had to do to ensure that he become the PDP president. You won the elections in 2003, you stayed for 8 years, and you now come back to say that the PDP is dead. But that's why I said altruism is not part of Nigerian politicians' ideologies, because you had the opportunity to change the system. The opportunity was there for you. You had the might, you had the will, you had majority support to change the system. You did not. Back to the party politics. Internal democracy has always been a problem for the party structure. It manifested in PDP. People complained of impunity. Now the APC came out and it's happening. The same thing is happening. The APC since 2015 has not done a national convention. Every day you hear about rumors they're trying to remove John Onyego as the national chairman, but they've not done a convention. And the PDP has had its problems. They had a court case that spanned for maybe 2 years. Now it has been settled. They did their convention immediately. That's the party in opposition. But the ruling party has not done its convention since it was elected. The third force, there are 774 local governments in Nigeria. Can the third force or the other party, the other forces, tell us that they can actually go and develop structures in those 774 local governments? It's not an easy thing. So that's why coming at this time, I feel that they should just pipe it down, go mainstream, support the main political parties that are up now. Before you wake up, because running an election is not beans. It's not even. You need every resource you can get. political resource, financial resource, intellectual resource, grassroots resource. You need plenty resources. It's not something you wake up and shout on the media and criticize. It's tough. So you're talking about changing a whole government. I mean, just look at it. You want to change a whole system. That's a Herculean task. We are talking about what was the voting figures last in 2015? It was 40%. So you need to motivate people to come out and register first. You need to motivate people to come out and vote first. People are most likely going to vote for the parties they know. They either vote for the PDP, the APC, or whatever local party, like my home state. APGA seems to be the main party there. People rather vote for those parties because over time, they have tested their policies and it has worked out for some of them. So we're not talking of other campaign issues that might arise in the Southeast, what is going to happen, restructuring, the Southerners complain of marginalization. He spoke about the North Central, where the Fulani crisis is getting to an uncontrollable state. You talk about the Southwest, where they're talking of restructuring and regional autonomy. So what are the policies, what policies are you going to bring out to say you are now coming to challenge the mainstream actors? It's tough. And the mainstream actors also have the finances to actually throw up various candidates. You don't have the finances, you don't have the grassroots mobilization, you don't have the resource, and politics is not also an elitist game. I mean, you can't be an elite and wake up and say you want to go and do third first. No lie. How strong are you in your ward? If some of these people don't even know their ward, can you win your ward? A ward of maybe 10,000 voters. Can you win it? Are you popular? What have you done so far? So we have if they are serious, they can start now to start maybe talking about third first.
Maybe if they're preparing for 2023, maybe yes. But they don't even say they're preparing.
But there is something I would like to add, which, like I said repeatedly, that we shouldn't dismiss them, is except we're going to see a kind of a radical departure from the way PDP, APC used to operate sometimes. Sometimes you see they don't allow popular candidates to emerge because you're having this concern about the fact that maybe the popular in the grassroots, we have over 180 million Nigerians. And how many members do we even have in APC and PDP who are card-carrying members? So now we're talking about 774 local governments. Well, Nigeria is not that big. What's the population of Nigeria compared to the United States of America? Now, why am I saying this is there will always be popular candidates who are disenchanted in states contesting for House of Assembly election, House of Reps. Some of them are going to look for this alternative party. Now, we have to look at certain dynamics, which we cannot dismiss in this age and time. There is possibility that money politics may not work sufficiently, and I will tell you why. There is one thing this government has done is to weaponize hunger. Now, let me give you a typical scenario. If APC now is going to send 100 million naira for election, to influence voting in the state. Now, believe me sincerely, with what I know about our politician currently, that 100 million naira, by the time it gets to the state executive and the stakeholders, the money that will go to the local government will be less than 50 million. Now, at the local government, the money that will go to ward will be less than 20 or 10 million. Now, from the ward to the canvassers, yes. And I can tell you how many canvassers that doesn't show off his party, you will give 50,000, 100,000, and I will go there and go and distribute under this atmosphere. So that is one reason why you should know that money is likely going to fail. So if there is no rigging, and there is massive campaign by whatever any alternative that is coming on board, it's just that if PDP and APC just have to wake up. If there is massive campaign using the instrument that is available with the powerful influence of WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, and penetrating people, you will see that we're going to have some disruptions in some of states and some local government. If money is not going to influence people, there is that possibility and tendency that people are likely going to make informed choices about who they really wanted to vote for. So that's why I'm saying we shouldn't dismiss it, because there's possibility that money is likely going to fail. And Nigerians are even watching out for the ruling government. How are you going to deploy money? PDP is not in power. You have limited opportunity of making use of money to distribute to states. So we're having a unique opportunity presenting itself in 2019 for people to actually campaign based on issues. You go to Ekiti State, you campaign based on issues. You come to Benue State, you go to Kano State, you have to tell them what they want to hear. And there are certain things You know, there are also going to be some small coalition also building in each state, simply because the way the space is, it's not even enough. I saw ADP, and when I saw the kind of people in ADP, ex-senators, ex-House of Rep guys, that's also one way or the other people coming on board, coming together. So you can't dismiss them. When you look at the quality of people in some of the newly registered political parties, you understand that a lot of things are likely going to happen. And the mere fact that people have tested the PDP, find the PDP is better than APC from what we've seen so far. But that possibility that for people to still try something new, you can never rule it out. It happens in every climb. It's not given that APC, PDP would definitely win election. So for me, I think it's going to be an interesting one. Let's just give the third phase.
I'm not this.
Before you say anything, I want to give another example. So when you consider this example, when you make your answer. Some years back, we had this salt water bathing thing. There was a message that said you must bath with salt water in the morning and everything. The thing went all across Nigeria.
Absolutely.
If a message about do not vote Buhari, do not vote this one, goes out on election day,
That they've all failed.
Yeah, eventually.
and everybody, it takes effort for you to bath with salt water, drink it again.
I'm sorry, the test was going to have 2 weeks, about a week or 2 weeks between the State House of Assembly and governorship election, which has already been settled, to say, look, forget political parties. That's what's going to be the argument. Let's get a good president.
Let me say something. The issue of, we all know that WhatsApp broadcast messages might cause the next civil war, but that's a different topic. Yes, definitely is, but this is politics, right? Eventually, it boils down to how it affects you directly. Yeah, we are talking about security. Has insecurity affected you? Has economics affected you? It will boil down to interest. What affects me directly? Has the president affected me directly? The president will be judged on those things. But I want to tell you, I'm not dismissing the third force, but I'm from Anambra State. We just finished an election. There was a third force guy called Osita Chidoka. Have you listened to him? He's sound. He's intelligent.
No, sorry, third force the coalition is not a distinct political party.
Yes, I'm still telling you, I'm still getting. Most of the young people supported him. I supported him. I had sympathy for him.
Did he form any coalition? No.
I'm just giving you an example.
He was on his own.
But he still tried to form a coalition down in my state with the Youth Association. But the point still remains. I'm not even, when I talk of mainstream parties, I don't also refer to PDP or APC. I refer to other parties that are existing. There's the Accord Party. There's ABGA. Are you going to wish them away? The third force can decide to join any party. What I'm trying to say is that in their efforts of the proponents, you also realize that if you're not careful, what they tend to achieve will also backfire on them. Because if they cause a voter divide, then if you say you're giving red card to PDP or APC, you can as well just give the ticket to the PDP or APC. That's what I'm trying to say. So we should be very careful when we say this third force coalition. I'm giving an example of Osita Chidoka because he represents what I should look at as a politician. He woke up, he did the campaign himself. But guess what? He didn't even win his local government. He didn't win his local government. So what I'm trying to say is that eventually policies will go back to being local. Whether you're a third force, first force, second force, you still have to play the local politics. That's what I'm trying to say. Then, of course, there will be disruptions everywhere, but let's be honest. How many of those places? How is it going to occur? The leader this leader in my state assembly decamped and he ran under a different party. What happened to him? He still lost because most people are tuned to the mainstream parties. You hear of people going to vote and the old women are saying, please just show me in my state, just show me where the okuko is. That's where the chicken is. They're voting for ABGA. You go to several places, say, show me where the umbrella is. They're voting for PDP. You go to several places, they say, show me where the broom is. They're voting for APC. You run an election. You have the experience. You did not campaign. You showed a picture of two old women that came to tell you that they voted for you. How many people will vote for whoever they feel like? So, eventually, what I'm trying to say is that it's not about saying you have a coalition. Politics will always be local. Go back to those places. Go back to your roots. Let's start from there. I'm going to vote in Abuja, but I want to do my transfer to the southeast, to my village where I know I'm a bit popular. At least I can convince 3 people to vote for whoever I want them to vote for. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not against third force, but I'm saying that in as much as you're trying to propose a third force or a coalition, you must also still go back to your local area. That's what I'm trying to say. Then you mentioned the issue of the of disruptions. Of course, there's a new not too young to run bill that will soon be passed. I mean, how many states of assembly? I mean, like 8 states of House of Representatives have passed it. So I hope when 26 passes it, it gets to the president, he can assent it. People will wake up. The issue of independent candidacy, I don't know if the National Assembly approved that amendment, but people will wake up and contest. People will on their own merits, individually, as a force, but you must still go back to your home base.
So let me just add this quickly. They are doing a massive one against the political parties. Now, you'll be able to measure this by the proportion, the extent at which people are mouthing third force. There is hardly anybody that has a phone or a WhatsApp today in Nigeria who doesn't know about third force. That's where to start from. You remember when the APC were talking about change. They didn't do their primaries until December of 2014. That's just 2-3 months to election. So, but they have a central argument, a central message which they were actually selling to Nigerians. That's change as a party. The third force, if they're able to have a central message, they will become, believe me, a really present threat for 2019 if they're able to come and have a political party that they're actually supporting.
So you mentioned 3 types of third force, or you alluded to 3 types of third force coalition. Can you kindly talk about them? Because, I personally believe that the third force coalition should actually go into the mainstream parties and work.
I just feel I should probably Nigerians to know about this. Although the news about them is in the polity, but people are not putting their minds down to really study the situation. There is one led by Olisa Agbakoba and Tafawa Balewa, were chairman of...
Was it the same Tafawa Balewa that ran for presidency?
Yes. So that's the one that Madam Obi Ezekwesili of Red Card are queuing to, and it's a breed of some politicians, more of trade union leaders, activists, all sorts of things like that, coming together, and they are reaching out to some of their friends, even in PDP and APC, who are also of the same bloc, traditional civil society bloc. There is another one of core politicians, and you probably have seen in the news that some politicians are trying to...
Sorry if I interrupt you. I heard that group are having a meeting on Wednesday.
That's the NIM.
Yes.
Yeah, that's there was one
a general one which are open to everybody to come and ask questions.
There was one they had which I participated, and that's under the Awamumu Don't Do banner with Charlie Boy. So there is one core politicians are also trying to put one together and see how they can rescue and take the argument constructively about answering the problems that lay our nation. That's the second one. There is the third one. This third one is mischievous. What they just want to do is just, it's being sponsored. Let me be very clear about, probably maybe by the ruling party. What they want to do is that they realize that the popularity of President Buhari has actually dipped in the southern part of the country. So what they're going to do is they're actually trying to cause a kind of voter apathy. PDP is not good, APC is not, APC is not good, PDP is not good, don't go and vote, don't go and waste your vote. Nigerians will see more of them. Nigerians are going to see more of them. What they are trying to do is to see how they can reduce the votes in the southern part of the country, and so that there will be more votes in this other side. And I've been seeing that kind of argument, and I am happy that some persons have been interrupting them and telling them that this is not going to work. And that's why someone like me, I believe that if the third force is also going to be serious, that people will know that they are probably serious, they are likely should present also a candidate maybe from the northern part of the country. Because by the time you don't do that, certain Nigerians start reading meaning to it. That probably maybe the candidates you are presenting, maybe from the south or from southeast, is simply because to divide the PDP votes. So it depends on how it's going to pan out for people to be able to have that sense, of belief in this third force. But by and large, I just believe that any movement that is coming on stream in my country, Nigeria, I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt for them to showcase their strength, to see if they are capable of doing things differently. So it's just a matter of time, this 2018. In the next 2-3 months, if we're going to see a very strong third force, we're going to know. And I'm challenging them to even take it from the point of view of fielding candidates in Ekiti State. You know.
Yes. 1 second, though. Because I also even focus more on this voter thing, people coming out to vote, voter apathy. I've seen great interest in getting PVCs over the past few weeks. Like people are, so even apathy is no more an option, you know. And it's being pushed by all kinds of groups, the churches especially, you know, different groups of people, like everybody is talking about
institutions, yes.
exactly, religious institutions, like everyone is talking about getting your PVC and voting.
When the government fails, everybody wants to know what he or she can do to change a government. So I think that people rushing out to get their PVC is actually not, it's a civic duty, come on, but the reason why now is because of the various issues affecting people. Insecurity, economics, the general bad governance going on right now in Nigeria. But I want to still go back to the issue of the third force because it fascinates me that a coalition is coming up at this time. I think it's late, but I'm not dismissing anybody. And as he said, I would like to see their efforts in the June elections, right? Ekiti is June. July. Then
this year.
They've not said I'm only challenging and telling them.
Yes, okay. That's where I want them to start from, you know. Start from those places. You don't wake up and shout on the social media and believe that you can wake up and change a government. Changing a government requires effort. Not only effort.
But based on what Uche said, there's something we have to be afraid of. If you are in the mainstream political party, if you check the message of go and get your PVC, the people who are likely harvesting this message more are people in the third force. Do you know that most of the people in third force are seen as the people at the forefront of the people actually doing it, even though we're all doing it?
Exactly.
Now, if they get a candidate that is somehow popular, they are likely going to reap it. And I can tell you that if you do your statistics, you can do your opinion poll, there is tendency that, out of everything, 5, 6 out of every 10 of people who are collecting new PVCs based on this prompting are likely going to vote for a candidate other than PDP, APC, simply because PDP and APC have not come out to start doing what they call a political campaign, political education sensitization.
They haven't.
Because you see, it's not giving.
That's a very high statistic.
It's not giving. It's not giving.
Let me give an example. Let me give an example. I know 3 people that live on my street where I live in Abuja, and even where I eat in my mama put. Everybody that I go to is going to get their PVC. It has nothing to do with the third force or the party. It's just a civic.
But who likely? Who are they? What he's saying is that who are they most likely to vote for?
Most people I know are not likely to vote for Buhari.
Exactly.
So you're watching videos of churches, pastors that have been silent all over, talking about advising their congregation to go and get their PVC. So I'm still saying that irrespective of the third force, are you telling me that if the third force doesn't make noise with what is going on in Nigeria, with the cry, with the insecurity, with the hunger, with the poverty, people will not go and get their other people won't rise? Is the church a third force?
So
it's not given that they're going to vote for people.
1 second. Can I listen? It's either, let's not just be point blank on this. It's either PDP or APC. Those are options in Nigeria. Let's not pretend about anything. If APC presents a Buhari, so it's Buhari on one side, who you know, according to you, has failed, and now PDP. Why would people vote for PDP just because of the other option?
It's not given.
It's not given.
And that's what I'm saying that. And do you think?
So supposing the third force or one of the third forces decides to align with the PDP, what happens?
No, that's okay.
That's exactly what I'm still trying to
say. If PDP presents a good candidate that they think they like and decide to support that person, that's fine. And I'm going to tell you one thing. You see, this election that is coming, there are people who are going to win election on no PDP, no APC campaign in their locality.
If you're popular,
some popular individual guys, so we're going to do that. So, and this PVC thing, just like we said, should give us a concern. Now we've seen an increase of about 10 million. And the number of people who are likely to vote. Now, out of that 10 million, at least 70-80% of them are disenchanted with the system.
That's a very high statistic.
Valid. That's valid. Now, you said it's valid. Very high.
That's a very high statistic.
No, that are disenchanted with the system.
You definitely, but when you said
disenchanted with the current system, that's the current government. No, wait now.
We must look at it very, very.
I said 60-70% of them are disenchanted with the current government.
Do you agree that?
But
if 50 million people that voted for Buhari, maybe 20% of them didn't like Buhari, but they just voted for him.
No, they voted. Some of them voted simply because they never liked Jonathan. So they voted. That's exactly where I'm going.
Exactly what you're.
If high percentage of the 10 million are disenchanted with the system, and PDP will not present a candidate that they like, they are likely going to vote for whichever candidate. See, it's not given. And I've told you that. You see, this coup, they call it a coup, but it's not good. It's good for the policy that the National Assembly has done. That we are going to have a presidential election. And oh my God, so you're going to fight for yourself. So that's even a good one for the third force to do their own work if they're able to get a good candidate. Now, why I love this, let me tell you why I love this, is that PDP will sit up, APC will sit up. They will know that in APC now, they will start having an argument that, look, we don't need to present a Buhari. Why can't we get something that is better? PDP will now know that, look, we can no longer, if we are serious about 2019, we can no longer vacillate and look at the way things are going. Let's look for somebody that Nigerians can vote for that is going to win this election. Because if we don't do it, there is a third force that is going to harvest it. So it's all good for the system. All Nigerians.
Yes. Eventually, internal democracy will come to the parties, whether they want to agree or not. So if the PDP and the APC feel like, you're talking of, if they feel like they will not internalize their democracy, then unfortunately another party will take over for them.
Exactly. That's what we're exactly saying.
Another party will take care of them. But the probability of that happening is what...
Because you know what, in the meeting I had with them, from third force, they also, because some people have started saying it, from third force they start talking about Orange Coalition. And when you're talking about Orange Coalition, is that, you see, when power... No, not just even in some African countries. You see, the whole idea is that they know that there are going to be people who are seriously disenchanted in other political parties.
Well, I mean,
you're going to have just one slot for you to be a Senate candidate in your senatorial district, House of Reps. And you know we are part of this system. We cannot lie about it, that there are instances where they're going to deny popular candidates simply because you know the party chairman.
Yes.
Because somebody has money. There are several instances where popular candidate will not necessarily win simply because it doesn't have the money to throw around. Now, you are not going to have an alternative that is backed by masses. Some people somewhere are driving the social media campaign. You're going to see message every day also. So you know
what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say about it, that if they drive you out of a party and you're not popular, you go to another party. I'll give an example. In Lagos State,
how many parties do you have?
In Lagos State,
the coalition will be harvesting popular parties.
Exactly. So it's going to have into the coalition.
What you're trying to say is you're trying to downplay the role of party structure in elections.
No, I'm not down.
I agree about popularity, but you must always look at this, because in Accord, Lagos, for example, Accord Party won a House of Reps in Lagos. The guy was an APC member. He was refused the tickets. He now went to Accord. Yes, you can say that he played the local politics. He convinced the Igbo people in those areas to vote for him. And I'll go back to the woman in PDP that was representing the people there. They said when she was campaigning, they told her to go and sit down and she has won the election because she's popular. So eventually popularity will count, but you must also still look at the parties.
Okay, we're about closing this very interesting conversation we've had today. Spirited conversation with Ario on one side, Kenny on one side, passionate human beings, you know. It's even hard for me, passionate about Nigeria. Sometimes I look at Nigeria from a distance and like I'm observing, you know, too many things to just observe. For example, we're debating about Obasanjo writing a letter. Of all human beings, I mean, have we forgotten about the Odi massacre and everything? Have we forgotten about Zaki Bianga? Have we forgotten about Anambra State?
They're aiding them to kidnap a sitting governor.
A sitting governor and everything. And these kind of person who we respect and we allude and we actually listen to him. You know, then the third party, third force, people giving red card to PDP and APC who made their lives and their political career
benefited from the
party system from the PDP and APC. So that's why I'm also detached from Nigerian politics. I just like observing because it just seems so ridiculous and everything. But what's your last, comment?
Oh, for me, I think the conversation actually we should be having is how young Nigerians can actually come together, and I think they are actually beating us to it by this third force thing. We should be having a kind of coalition and be giving ourselves a timeline that, look, if we don't get the kind of a president we are looking for in 2019, 2023 shouldn't miss us, and we can do it, and it's possible and it is doable. Look at the way the third force have been able to build the momentum, at least even if for the optic, everybody's talking about it. We young people can do better. We have the resources, we have the might. The only thing is just for us to be able to organize ourselves, and I think my own, take home from here, going forward from this point, is the fact that we should start having meetings, start building coalition, and reaching out to each other. And I think if that is going to be the alternative, why not? I can key into that.
Okay. Well, first of all, I advise everyone to go get his PVC, because that's the only way you can change the system you don't like. Secondly, I would like people to actually understand that it is the human beings that make the party and not the party making. If you choose the right candidates, people that know what to do, and they get into those positions, it is believed that they are going to perform excellently. Whether they are members of the third force, the mainstream political parties, it doesn't matter. Then everybody should go home and do the local thing. I always say politics is local. You must play the politics the local way. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it for today. It was nice having you guys listening to us, and talk to you soon, some other time where I shall maybe moderate this show again. Thank you.